is surprised, if it gains surprise, it will flee if it is surprised.
Okay.
But otherwise, it actually does nothing.
Okay.
So in other words, your attention has stalled its right.
Perfect. So we have 1-3 rounds.
And it's not quite smart enough to say, oh, these guys are dangerous.
Okay.
Right. So you have, in terms of not a free round from surprise, but you have distance.
Okay.
Right. You have your distance advantage. It can't attack. And it's not at this moment inclined, unlike the other, to close and attack. The other one was. This one's not. So
I'm going to shoot it.
Right, and I believe it's the same thing as before. Medium range is actually better. Well, I don't know if it's better or the same as short, but we will find out.
If it survives this round, will you roll again for if it flees or if it attacks, or does it automatically?
No. After that, I think I just play.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but it doesn't. You don't roll again.
Yeah.
Necessarily. It says to play the animals like animals, which means it probably would run off. It's at the very least it's unfamiliar. So what we are doing here is this. First of all, it also has no armor. Some of the creatures have armor, but not that many.
It's basically that thick.
So that's +3 against no armor, and then it is only it's at 0 for medium range. That's the neither. Everything after that is lower. Everything. Yeah. You can see
+1 before.
Okay. Yeah. So it's +1 at short and 0 at medium. So that means that you're going to have a +3 to hit.
+4.
I'm sorry. +4 because
I'm the right.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead and.
I hit.
Okay.
And our aristocratic friends, our companions. 5 + 4, okay, it's a hit. And that's a hit as well.
Okay. So again, the rifles are quite.
Wait, and you?
No, you don't. He's out.
He's
seriously wounded. Out.
He's seriously wounded. There is no activity.
Struggling to breathe.
Yeah. So therefore, we are going to.
That's unlucky.
That's
very unlucky.
Therefore, we will have the damage.
Okay.
So 3, 3, and 3. Roll 3d6.
7 and 13, so 20 total.
6, 7, 8 in total.
Okay, so that it'll kill it.
Oh, okay.
And we are going to be interested.
So this
in
okay.
Something here.
Okay.
The big carnivore had less hit points than the
Yes, it did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's this huge flyer.
Interesting.
So it's actually So it's heavy.
Yeah, sure.
In total,
right.
But I think it's using gas bags to keep it up. And so structurally, it's not actually all that.
I like it. I like it.
It actually had 17 and 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And notice, of course, 3 massed rifle attacks.
Yeah.
That's pretty savage.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, on any animal.
I like being surprised, and that's what the dice are for.
And so there are a couple of interesting points about animals. I'm trying to hunting for. I like the rules. Hunting for sport or food is possible, and danger posed by animals may be great. You don't say. Okay, here we are. Okay, so 5 or greater, but -3 because the atmosphere is tainted.
Okay.
So it gets actually a 7, roll out of 10. So it is, interestingly enough, edible. And then, let's see. But there's something about it. There was something about how badly damaged it is. Animal wounds, damage roll, that's the wounds it does. animal hits. Okay. If more than twice the combined value is achieved, the animal is completely destroyed. If an animal receives wounds equal to twice its hits, it is destroyed and has lost any food or pelt value. But it has not done that. So it is shot up, but it is a viable trophy.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, I mean, that maybe even they're interested in like a ritual, a ritual, tasting.
Yeah, the customs of the rich.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, they'll, ooh, does it fall? No, it came from the buildings. Remember?
Yeah.
It came from the buildings and was among them, so there's no way that it would fall into the crater.
Okay.
I was.
No, but I think want to go, so.
I was tempted, but that doesn't make any sense.
We were going to roll after the fight.
Yes, we are. So.
And earlier when you killed the omnivore, how long until the small flying?
The way I see it is that you looked back as you were driving away.
Okay, but they're not like congregating on this carcass now.
We have they're not even on this encounter table.
Okay.
Those particular scavengers. Those are prairie scavengers.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah. So here, let's see.
Totally.
So for the ruins, actually, okay. So I need the ruins table and the crater table. Okay. So ruins, nothing. The ruins are quiet.
Okay.
The crater. No. Okay. So, so therefore, yes, they will, slice the meat, and it is, stinking and nasty because it's tainted atmosphere, but it is edible. But they chomp on it, with Victoria's Hunter, and they're saying, this is turning out to be, pretty successful. We can't just go back with one that was taken down by 3 rifles. That's weenie. We have to each bag one alone.
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. I mean, you're fine. I mean, your honor doesn't really count for anything.
You really want to talk about that?
Well,
to your face.
Now, the duel was about his honor, not yours. Yours is, you can't make it go up and you can't make it go down.
You really want to talk about honor?
Yes, we're nothing for them.
So it's okay. I mean, you've accompanied us on the hunt. You've done your job, and we appreciate it. But now we have to, now honor demands that we each take one of these alone because that was too easy.
Okay, we go to the crater.
So that is, so now you're going to the crater?
Yeah. I'm fed up with all of that people.
Excellent.
But they are staying here.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're going to do the same thing.
Do you want to come with me?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can.
I'm indisposed.
Yeah, he is. That's correct. Excellent.
But I'm with you, Spirit.
Yeah. Very good.
So we don't, of course, have time to play more, but I will point out that this would entail another check on our crater. With no encounters. 5 and 6. Yeah, it's a 1/3 chance.
Okay,
so
right,
I roll to if I get a 5 or a 6.
Okay,
So just to let you know, the scavenger is a carrion eater. There is
this is the creature from the
inside the crater. There is a scavenger there. There is an herbivore there. Although I don't suppose I really should have put an herbivore there, but I did. Technically I would have made a new crater table with no herbivore on it. And so those are actually fairly straightforward animals, nothing amazing. But there is a very nasty hunting omnivore in there, which may actually be quite similar. I think we've got 3 related omnivorous creatures across these. The crater carnivore is 1,600 kilograms.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So the point is, there's a big thing, and its speed is 3 times human.
Yeah.
So we've got a monster fucking predator in that crater.
And 2 hit points.
And probably bulked up from probably an underground creature that has been exposed. Is the way I see it.
Yeah.
So you've got a purple worm.
Yeah.
Or something like that, something really heinous that is a subterranean creature.
I'm somewhat sad that.
But that's not the only thing that's in that crater.
Uh-huh.
So that's one of those encounters. Right?
Ah, okay. Encounters.
Right.
Never heard that before.
So yeah, that is the way of it. Now, of course, we're not going to continue to play to let you know the crashed vessel is from Sheol. So, and that's actually not that unusual an occurrence. It's not like totally crazy that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the dead of these worlds. Either you go to heaven, which means you go and get, well, there's one fate if you go to heaven officially, and if you go to Sheol, well, that's where you go. So the dead go to these places and have technological things that happen to them. So.
And what happened to the guy, the weird guy?
Yeah,
he came
went
from
to heaven.
Okay, he went to heaven. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I have going on here. Yeah. And Sheol, which is here.
Oh.
It should be colored red. Sheol is here, and it has Tech 13.
It's maximum.
So it's got it's super tech. So the legends are correct, and it is actually sort of the unspoken cultural center of this whole section down here.
That's great.
Yeah. So I mean, I developed this, and I saw this thing sitting there all by itself, and I was like, okay, you know, that's different. Yeah. So yeah.
The joy of randomness.
Yeah. It worked nicely in this case. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm still think that a little bit of GM story guiding is present. I mean, a lot of it makes sense if I inject a little more content, and that content in many ways is almost a little too, and now we do this sort of thing. But the diversity of what you're working with gives it a more creative feel than that kind of thing usually has. But I don't think the player character proactivity is hard.
I guess the way I played Traveler the last edition was basically you're on that planet. There is a board with whatever you can do,
right? And
you start from there. So the player has more, okay, I will do that. Okay, you read the rule about that. You always have the GM kind of making it work, but maybe decision making is more.
It's a good question. I mean, in the Traveler tradition of play, as it developed, became very campaign pack, mission oriented, kind of an approach. It was very oriented toward the meta plot of the setting and all the things that were happening through the setting. And my impression is that people basically found their characters to be sort of bystanders, and mostly worrying about like when they ran out of money and how they would get money.
I guess it.
Which there is an economy for that.
Yeah.
If that's what you do, I mean, you could. The classic is that you become a smuggler and negotiate the laws and try to keep your ship fueled and stuff like that, as kind of an ongoing strategic problem. So, but if you want to actually do what they talk about in here, which is the travelers going from place to place, and the only engine for that is patrons.
Yes.
So.
And you're not guaranteed a patron because you roll for a patron. So,
right, and if you don't get a patron or you're not seeking one, then maybe that's because you have some economics that you get engaged with. But that business about how the GM has to look at what's going on and say, all right, what encounters are prefixed for the session?
Yeah,
that's the key, right? That's the question.
But I have no trouble with that.
No, I think it's okay. I mean, I would have to worry about writing too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like diverse games and not playing the same experience over and over.
Oh yeah, so. This one has. I love it. Its virtues are amazing.
Yeah. The fact that you have to basically build everything for each planet is a pain, but it's also a strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're working subsector by subsector.
Yeah.
You're building this. I think I told you that I chose to reduce the chance of a system.
Yes.
Yeah. Because there would be maybe 3 or 4 or 5 more on here, which seems a little crowded if you ask me.
I guess it depends where it is.
Yeah.
If it's in the central of the universe, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But
I liked the idea that we were really out there.
Yeah.
So I reduced the chance, and it was a little less work that way. And also, for me, the position of the open spaces means more implications.
Yeah.
So I was happier with it for this time. And then the way the planets worked out, again, I mean, rolling through them is you're not going to get that hour back. You're going to use that time.
Yeah.
But it made me look at this and say, why this is playable. I mean, if they have a patron up here, I know what that guy wants.
Yeah. I just wonder if you have to fix a system.
I'm not sure.
This one is fine,
Yeah.
but what happens if you have basically just everything glued there and nothing in the other stuff?
Right.
You kind of have to fix the sector or to start again, or accept it and it's going to be odds.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The odds are pretty good for planets. It seems unlikely to me that I didn't roll, in my opinion, an excessive number of successes or failures. It seems to match the probability anyway. But and I'm not, as an edge case, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, that's I think a nice look at what travelers like.
Yeah, I forgot to dig into it.
Yeah, and if you're up against something really dangerous, you'll go down.
I like that.
You're going to hit it. And by the way, there's chances like in
I don't like it cheap big
yes, yeah. And in the system is also clear on what happens if you are in a dangerous atmosphere and you're shot.
Oh.
Right, or hurt. The chance of a suit breach is also worked into what the damage. So therefore, those are all important. There's another thing. Each of these creatures is either solitary or it comes in a flock, and both of them were solitary. But there are others that can be quite numerous. The scavengers are not. I mean, the smaller carnivore of the prairie you roll 3 die 6.
I'd like to see more of this thinking in other games. So, I think it's been inspiring.
Yeah, I think so.
Approaches problems from a different angle than one is used to.
And also, the logic is really, really interesting. Sometimes, here and there, I'm a little puzzled. The fact that population is an independent role from other factors of the planet puzzles me. But then, you also have, you can have ways to talk yourself around it. Maybe the humans have mutated a little bit, right? To be able to handle this or something. But or if you really want to.
Technology evolved.
Right.
Yeah. Lots of technology or stuff like that.
Right. Well, if you have the technology, that's fine. But if you don't, then you're like, how do you deal with a thin, tainted atmosphere with such a shitty technology? But wait, the tech roll is better on those planets, though.
Oh, yes. Right.
So I'm not sure. Maybe it works.
It doesn't make. It makes little sense to live there if there is nothing good in it.
Right.
You have to make something like this planet is worth it.
Right.
To compensate for it.
Right.
So,
or if it's a captive population, maybe it's a prison planet or something. You have to look at the other variables. But sometimes, most of those variables tend to line up pretty well. Whoever put this together, Mark Miller, whoever put this together actually thought sequentially about the bonuses that
Yeah.
rolled into the next, and even more importantly, decided when a table clears previous modifiers and starts over. So, like for example, the weaponry and the of the animal doesn't depend on anything except its carnivory or scavenger or herbivore or something. But it doesn't depend on any of the other factors. So you could have a huge creature with a stinger, or a small creature with a stinger. The modifier was what it eats.
Yeah.
So they took care on thinking about when the modifiers don't roll into the next thing. And there are so many streams of these modifiers out into so many variables. You kind of wonder, are you a genius?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you do that? So, or with spreadsheets and 1977 computers.
A lot of paper.
That's a lot of paper.
Yeah, definitely stands out in designs.
Yeah. And you don't get that kind of precision without actually playing it. They must have played the hell out of this. So
yeah, it would be interesting to read his designer notes.
Right. And I wasn't familiar enough with the game when I met him to ask him anything. So anyway, thanks. This was educational at the very least.
Yes.
Enjoyable too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.